Hey gang, how's it going? Welcome. Let's see, are we all looking, got everything there? Yes, welcome. Hi, I'm Todd Nauck. Welcome to my YouTube channel for today's art live stream, second art live stream of the day. Hopefully you were able to join me earlier today when I drew silk on a Post-it note. Now we're gonna draw, something on this amazing Spider-Man sketch cover. I had an idea of a character I wanted to draw, which I wanted to draw Spider-Man, but I wanted to do something kind of different. So I wanted to draw a specific era of Spider-Man, specific design of Peter Parker that we don't often get to see, haven't seen a lot. Whoa, hold there. Forgot to turn the volume down on my phone so I could see the live chat while I draw. I'm a couple of seconds ahead of y'all of the live stream, so I'm live streaming from the future, I guess. So Cyborg Spider-Man, have y'all seen Cyborg Spider-Man? I think he has a playable skin in the PS4 game. It's from the Spider-Man series, the 1990 Spider-Man series. Eric Larson did a story called The Revenge of the Sinister Six, issues 18 through 24, and Cyborg Spider-Man was in issue 21. So his costume's all kind of re-sewn together. He's bandaged up and he's got this cyborg arm. It's not actually a full robot arm, it's his real arm underneath, but his arm had gotten broken really badly. So the scientists put this high-tech cybernetic banded metal thing around his arm, which was rapidly healing his arm while he could still use his arm. So yeah, so that's the version I thought I'd want to try drawing. I don't think I've ever drawn it before, so I thought it would be kind of fun to do today for Spider-Man Day here at San Diego Comic-Con at home Artist Alley art live stream. So let's get to drawing. Let's get to drawing. Let me adjust my microphone. It's a little too close to the art. Been notoriously bumping everything, but just like at Artist Alley at San Diego Comic-Con, there's gonna be a lot of bumping into things. So I'm using my Unikuratoga 0.3 HB lead mechanical pencil, as always, or most always. So this should be fun. I'll do my best to respond to questions and comments as I draw. So feel free to post. Unfortunately, I can't promise I can answer everybody's, but I'll try to answer as many as I can see while I draw. So we'll just see what happens. Just hang out, have fun, chit chat. Maybe I'll share a tip or trick or two while I draw. Let's see, let's check to see if anyone's posting any questions. So welcome everyone. Hello, hello. So glad you're here. Thank you for hanging out, live viewers. And if you're watching this on replay, glad you're here too. All right, just gonna keep roughing in this figure. This is gonna be like pretty much a full body shot, full figure shot, long form sort of video here. So we're gonna take pencils, inks, and colors is the plan. Just like the Magic from New Mutants live stream yesterday. So that is the plan. We'll see how the afternoon goes. But so glad you're here to hang out with me, much like we would do if we were actually at the San Diego Comic-Con at the convention center. Okay, let's see. I'm not quite digging the angle of his body here, so I'm gonna abort before I get too far into it. Get so far committed into the illustration, it's like there's almost a point of no return. Gonna try to avoid that. Trying to put him in an action pose here, so I'm having to consider all the foreshortening and whatnot. HB lead, huh? That's a little bit of a surprise. Seemed like a lot of artists use 2H. Yeah, maybe many do. I prefer HB. 2H is all right. It's a little hard for my taste. I like the flexibility of the HB, but I don't go any softer than the HB. Then things start to get muddy and messy. So yeah, I'm an HB guy. Give me a lead that's right in the sweet spot of the softness and the hardness scale. Right there in the middle. So a lot of heavy thinking goes into this stage here, trying to put the puzzle of the body and the pose together, much like as I was mentioning during the Magic from New Mutants live stream yesterday. Yeah, make sure we're keeping this in frame. Kind of pushed in close enough to where you can see the details, but you can't, unfortunately, I can't get the whole image in the shot. So just trying to work out this midsection here. Putting the left arm as the dominant arm because it's the one that's all cyborged out. So I thought that would be really kind of fun to draw and cool to see. But I can't quite get this angle of this body the way I want it to really convey the movement I want. I'm just going to keep trying. That's kind of the nature of the art. You just keep trying. You just keep at it. Try a little bit, try a little bit more. That's why this stage is very important to just kind of sketch in lightly to see if it's going the direction you are hoping you can get it going, that you want to get it going, and have the flexibility of making changes as needed. I think I'm starting to hone in on what I'm looking for. Let's see, let me adjust this microphone here. There we go. See, that's a little bit better. Hopefully I don't knock into the microphone too much. You know what? I think it's the legs here is maybe what I need to rework. How are we doing being on screen? Are we all right? Slide this up a little bit more. It's just not working. What is going on here? Oh, we just keep trying, huh? Just keep trying. Okay, maybe I need to angle the torso a little bit more. Really get that eye coming forward. Does he have a cybernetic eye? He has this eyepiece that's strapped to his head over his left eye. So no part of him is turned into a robot. It's all gear that is either pretty much just kind of either overlapping or strapped onto his body. he does not become a actual cyborg, but he's just nicknamed Cyborg Spider-Man because of all the cybernetic gear that he is wearing, more so than it being grafted to him. So this is based on the Erik Larsen story, the story that Erik Larsen wrote and drew back in 1990. I think it came out in 1992. He has like this eyepiece strapped on to his left eye. Got a belt full of pouches. Because it was the early 90s. Everyone had a belt of pouches. Which was actually the name of my high school garage band, Belt of Pouches. Did a lot of covers of Susie and the Banshee songs. Good old Belt of Pouches. Maybe get a little more foreshortening. And oops, let's see. Apologize. Some of the feet here. I just had the bottom parts of his thigh, legs, knee, calves, foot. And the other leg kind of coming forward, knee, the thigh coming forward to the knee, and then the calf and moving back away from us, and then the foot dropping down. Just trying to figure out how to fit this arm here. Now I got the body, the torso, the legs working pretty much the way I want. It's figuring out where to put this left arm. Really want to showcase the cyborgness of it all, if I can. Just really allowing it to. I want to figure out how to utilize the real estate here. Oh, maybe I've hit on it. Hit on the puzzle. He's got this big thing of. They look like eggs. Erik Larsen gave it some sort of around his biceps, some sort of bandolier of egg-shaped cyborg eggs, if you will. I don't know. They always look like eggs to me, so I called them the cyborg eggs, which was the name of my other garage band back in high school, the Cyborg Eggs. We did grunge versions of country songs. A lot of Conway Twitty, Dolly Parton. Our cover of Kenny Rogers' The Gambler in the grunge style was a big hit. I mean, not that, I mean, we're just a garage band, but, you know, people who came to our shows really seemed to have enjoyed it. Dad jokes, gang. I was never in a band, never in a high school garage band. Okay, I think that might work for that arm. Now let's double check this right arm here. Don't like the placement of that, so I'm going to rework it. For those of you that just tuned in, number one, welcome. Number two, I'm drawing the Cyborg Spider-Man from 1992's Spider-Man Revenge of the Sinister Six storyline from Spider-Man issue 21. Written and drawn by Erik Larsen. Doing my take on that design. He had a bandage on his head. Had a bandage on his leg. On that right leg. And then his costume was all torn up, so he had to, it was all sewn back together by the doctor that found Spider-Man's unconscious, broken, battered, beaten, bloodied, and bruised body. And he stitched up his costume and put this healing tech on Spidey. Hence the cyborg. Sorry, my Irish heritage I think is kicking in there. His cyborg arm. We'll give him a web line here. He'll be swinging from. The web line kind of flipping up and around like that. I'm just going to tighten up the lower legs here. Tighten up the ankles and feet a bit here. Pouch, pouch, pouch. We have a kind of like this shoulder pad thingy. How many plates? Looks like there are 3, maybe 4 plates. I'm gonna kind of arc mine a little bit. Erik Larsen drew them like very flat on his shoulder. I think I'm going to prefer to arc mine just a little bit. Just personal preference. Taking a little creative liberty, license. Am I forgetting anything? I've got the issue pulled up here on my iPad to make sure I get as many of the details. Okay, so I'm going to put a bunch of stitching on this costume. Let me just go back to that cover so I can see the main details. Cool. And then I'll just take whatever liberties I want, maybe kind of do my take on certain aspects. Got to keep the cyber eggs though, the cyborg eggs. Pretty distinctive part of the armature thingy. All right, so I think I have enough there to work with. Oh, I should probably put in where the spider is on his uniform. We're almost ready to crack into the inks here. I'll figure out where the webbing goes on his costume after I get all the main details in here, because we're gonna have a lot of stitching. A lot of stitches on his costume because it got all sewn back up. All right, so what's my webcam setup like? You're looking for better streaming methods where you're at. I'm using Logitech cameras. I have a Logitech 920 for the face cam. a Logitech, the 1080p camera here for the art, and got a Blue Yeti microphone, all on their own armatures, and then funneling all three of these devices into my Wacom Mobile Studio Pro tablet, which has the power of a laptop, with using the OBS program to bring all these things together and send it over to YouTube. Let's see, I'm going to use my French curve here for the these initial shoulder plates. Kind of get that nice curved line. Or a slight curved line, I should say, depending on the curve one uses when using a French curve. Let's see, there's a little divot. In each plate. I'm using the Pentel, or not the Pentel, the Pigma Micron 08 pen for my initial inked lines. All right, looks like I'm currently in frame. Good. Let's see. Should probably work on this web line coming from his hand, since it's most in the foreground. How do I come up with good poses? You know, lots of different things. I mean, I've been reading comic books for most of my life, so there's a lot that I've seen other artists do. I just imagine a lot of stuff, and then I cross-reference that with anatomy, like real-life anatomy, and then exaggerate that. And if you missed the beginning of the live stream, you can tune back in after we're done here on replay. You can watch on replay, and you can kind of see me kind of work through it. I probably erased this torso 5 or 6 times trying to find the right angle of the pose. So yeah, it's just kind of trial and error from my experience. You know, you kind of get an idea, give it a try, it doesn't work, try something else, or try that idea another way, or try it the same way again to see if you can hit on what you're imagining in your head. So that's how I do it. All right, microphone, you're a little too low. Now I'm bumping into you with an inking pen. All right, cool. We're still in camera frame. Wrap this now into his closed fist, holding on to the web line. How many devices am I using right now? I have 2 cameras, 1 microphone, and my tablet, which these are all plugged into. So I guess technically 4 devices to do this live stream, as opposed to my 1 cell phone that I've been using, my iPhone, which I've been doing prior. All right, let's start to work on this hand. I like to work foreground to background as much as possible. So whatever overlaps, I'm working on that first, and then drawing the stuff that falls behind it. Everything falls behind the next thing, ideally. Helps me keep everything where I need it to be. thumb in here. Cool. See, then the web line comes out the back bottom side of the hand and then arcs around and overlaps his forearm. I like to do that to help convey some depth and give the eye more to look at and play with. See, you might want to put a little loop. Big loop. We bring it down over his thigh and then back and around. So here I'm intentionally having the web line overlap his thigh so that I can, again, create that sense of depth, and design-wise, it kind of connects these elements together a little bit more. Overlapping things can be our friend, but we have to be careful how we do that. Have to be very thoughtful and mindful as much as possible as to when we overlap things and how we're doing that, the design of it, and how does it all fit together. A lot of that for me has come with trial and error. All right, so now the web line will go back underneath his arm, so back to working on his cyborg, I want to say cyborg arm. I'm probably trying to conflate the word cyborg and arm at the same time, which I do that pretty often in my everyday speech. I'll think of two words and try to say them at the same time. So I come out with these weird hybrid words. Like sometimes I'll say, hey bro, or I want to say, hey man, and it comes out, hey bran, like raisin bran. It's like, I've done that so many times. It's like, what did you just say? Well, I tried to say bro and man at the same time, and it came out bran. Just because my brain's thinking, do I go with this one? Do I go with that one? And they just kind of both decide to come out at the same time. Let's see. Oh, he's got some sort of kind of like his web line cartridges on the wrist. Glad I caught that. So if I ever meet you in person and I say, hey, Bran, what's up, Bran? Know that I'm calling you bro and man at the same time. Did I play Spider-Man on PS4? No, I did not. I don't have a PS4. I've seen it. I've seen the game played. It looks amazing, but I have not had time to crack into that. Yeah, it looks like an incredible game. Right now, drop in these cyborg eggs. I'm sure these egg shapes have some sort of healing property to them. I'm sure there's a scientific reason. The medical scientist who devised this cyborg armature thing which allowed, if you just tuned in and you missed the top of the show, this cyborg arm on Spider-Man is just really an armor that is healing his badly broken arm, but still allowing him to use it while it rapidly heals. So I'm assuming these egg-shaped things have some part in that healing process, I would imagine. The scientist didn't say much more than what this thing is doing. He didn't really explain how it does it, but why should he? Just trust this strange scientist that has helped you out, Peter Parker. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? Fortunately, nothing really went wrong, so lucky for him. All right. I'm going to put in some, using my, what was this, my 005? Where's my 0? Yes, 01 here for some of the banded metal details. When we get to Copic color a little bit later on, it'll be fun to render out this metal with my coloring techniques. While I do this, let's see if I can answer another question. What would I say is a good full process when learning anatomy? For me, taking life drawing classes at art college was probably really helpful in getting me started in that. And then just a lot of self-study, looking at real life, and then translating what I see into my style of lines and shape. I'd probably say would be the best. Or at least that's the way I did it, and this is where it's gotten me so far. So I can at least speak to that. Let's see. How do I determine what to put on a cover of a comic? Does it mainly have to do with something of the story or just eye-catching? Are you referring to a sketch cover or like an actual cover that gets published on the comic? Well, I'll assume it's the latter. So when I'm doing a comic book cover for Marvel, it all depends on what the editor wants. You know, we'll talk that through. Sometimes if it's like a variant cover, it rarely has anything to do with what's going on in the story. Not to say it never does, but most of the time, from my experience, it doesn't. If it's the regular comic for the story, oftentimes it does reflect what's an aspect of the story inside. So it can be one of those two things. Sometimes it's a little bit of both. Sometimes it's strictly one. Sometimes it's strictly the other. And that's something that is discussed with the editor. And assistant editors and associate editors, the team working on the book, that's something that would be discussed. And then as the artist, I will come up with either just designy, eye-catching, cool shot covers, and then also story-driven covers to give the editors a choice in what they want me to move forward with. So I'll do maybe anywhere from 2 to sometimes as many as 7 or 8 rough cover sketches for them to pick from. Just depends on how many ideas I end up getting between the time I'm hired and when they need to see the sketch concepts. Let's see, you're interested in getting into using Copics, and you wonder if I recommend starting with grayscale or jump in with colors. Depends on what kind of art you want to do. Me personally, I started with grayscales. I just bought the grayscale. This was back in 2009. Seeing other comic artists doing grayscale convention commissions, and I thought those looked really cool, and it's like, I want to do that too. That looks really fun. So I just bought some cool grays and warm grays, just the even numbered ones. Then discovered I really liked them, so I then quickly went and got the odd numbers. And then after doing grayscale for a while, I wanted to move into color, so I just started building my color collection one marker at a time. Never bought any set. I just bought all my markers individually. So that's how I did it for me. So it just really depends on what is your goal. What is your goal with your illustrations and your art? Now I rarely ever do grayscale. I'm pretty much all full color now. All right, so that cyborg arm is really coming together. Finish off that web, and I can bring the other tail end of the web back over this way. I'll just kind of stop right there for now, and I'll pick up later on. Right now I want to work more on Spidey. So let's try working on this eyepiece. Oh, my iPad timed out. Come back, iPad. There we go. So, see, actually I want to use my template here. Maybe my ellipse template, because we're kind of a little bit at angle, so it wouldn't be necessarily be a perfect circle. I think this is a good size to start with. At least get that outer perimeter. That's about. I'll have to do the inner oval freehand. Because I don't have, there's not an oval at this size. For me to go smaller. And there's the straps, kind of like a bit like a pirate eye patch, if you will. So we got a lot of details going on here with the head. So we just don't only have his mask, but his mask is torn up and resewn, so I'm gonna have to draw stitches on here. Then we have this strapped on high-tech eye patch, and then we have bandage wrapped around his head. So, and then we still have the lenses of his mask to draw in there as well. So there's a lot more detail going on in this Spider-Man head than normal. Just kind of tighten up the head shape here, make sure everything stays consistent. And give him those big 90s eyes. 1990s eyes. Let's see how this works. What's my favorite Spidey suit? I like the traditional red and blue. I also like the black costume a lot. Those are probably my two favorites. Did yesterday's piece of art sale, the Magic from New Mutants? Yeah, she sold right away. Yeah, the first person that emailed me about buying her sealed that deal. They locked it in. So she is off the market. We got the bandage here on his head. What's a character I'd like to draw in the comic that I have not done yet? That would probably be like maybe Booster Gold. I've never gotten to draw Booster Gold professionally. He's one of my favorite DC Comics heroes. Over at Marvel, I'd probably say She-Hulk is a character I don't think I've gotten to draw professionally. I think I got to draw on my Hunt for Wolverine covers. So I got to draw one little teeny tiny She-Hulk, if I remember correctly, if I drew her on that cover, which I probably did. Hard to remember, I drew like 175 characters on that cover. But she would be a lot of fun. I think she's a really fun, cool character. You're getting a great 90s vibe, then I'm right where I need to be there. I'm right in the 90s zone. Thank you. Wait till I get to those pouches on the belt. Do I still make inking and coloring mistakes? And if so, how do I work through them? Well, it depends on how bad the mistake is. Sometimes when inking, I can incorporate that mistake into the art itself. If I'm doing like a cover, or if I'm doing like interior pages or a cover for a print comic, then I just use whiteout and keep rolling. Sometimes if the inking mistake is so bad, sometimes I have to start over from scratch. And I have had to do that. Same with coloring. So it just all depends on what is the mistake and how bad is it. Can I recover? Or do I have to start over? Pretty much my two options. See, I want to get the tail of his head wrapping here a little more fleshed out. Get the flow and movement going. So I'm going to start putting in the stitches on his. I'm going to do stitches as I go, as I work on each section of his costume. It'd be great if I came out with my own trading card set. I would love that. That would be fun. I'd be totally down for something like that. Let's see, switch back to my 08. Double check my shoulder muscles here. Go with the fingers. Knuckle placement. In construction, they say measure twice, cut once, which means double check your math. Make sure you have the right measurement before you cut that piece of lumber, because if it's wrong, then you've just wasted a piece of lumber. So it's kind of the same with art. It's like pencil twice, ink once. You know, it's like double check your placement of where you've got things before you start throwing down the inks. If you're not quite sure of the shapes that you're working with. That's what I try to do. I don't always do it perfectly every time, but something I try to keep in mind. Some of these little lines here I'm throwing in are kind of showing me where I can put some stitches. Kind of my stitch guideline. Okay, so I'm going to start with the right hand here now, because it's in the foreground. I can build my way back to his shoulder to make sure I'm maintaining the proper level of foreshortening, distance, depth, line weight, things like that. Let's see. You've been a fan since Young Justice. Thank you so much. Your question is, myself, me, Todd Nauck, the late Michael Ringo, Joe Madureira, Humberto Ramos, when you saw that they had similarly influenced, what was your reaction to see the similarities in styles? I loved it. It's just the kind of stuff that I enjoy seeing, that kind of art that walks the line between cartoony and realistic on that spectrum. That kind of has that exaggerated sort of vibe, but looks believable. So yeah, I'm fans of all those guys' work. Absolutely, I think they are definitely some of my favorite artists. So yeah, it was the right kind of flavor to appease my comic reading, comic fan sensibilities. Yeah, I'm definitely a fan of all those guys. See, what's my favorite Spider-Man cartoon? For you, it's the Marvel's Spider-Man Maximum Venom, Spider-Man Unlimited, Spectacular Spider-Man, and Spider-Man 94. I haven't seen all the Spider-Man cartoons, unfortunately, so I can't speak to some of the later ones. But for me, it was Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends probably was my favorite, because it introduced me to so much of the Marvel Universe I hadn't heard of before, like the Submariner and different villains, like Magneto, and of course that's where I learned about the X-Men. I also like the 90s Spider-Man comic cartoon series. I think that's the last one that I watched regularly. But I'd like to check out those other cartoons. It's just finding the time to watch it. I just finished Gravity Falls for the first time yesterday. And that was just 2 seasons, you know, that show ran. And I finally got a chance to sit down and watch them all. Really great cartoon. Really, really liked it. But yeah, hopefully I can watch those other Spidey cartoons at some point, someday. Don't go to sleep. Ah, you caught my iPad about to go to sleep. I was trying to catch it, but it fell asleep on me a little too fast. You win this round, iPad. All right, let's throw in some more stitches. I think I picked a very complicated Spider-Man costume to draw on this live stream. I don't think I realized how much detail there is. Because Spider-Man's pretty detailed with the webs and everything, which I've gotten used to over the course of my career since I've drawn it so many times on so many different Spider-Man comics. But, so that I wouldn't think would really slow me down, just drawing a regular Spider-Man. I've done it a number of times here on my channel. Hopefully you've seen those videos. But the Cyborg one, yeah, a significant bit of more detail. If I could have structured that sentence any more awkwardly, I would have, because that's the way I do. Let's see. That spider drawn in. Oh, you heard there's a new cartoon, Spidey and His Amazing Friends, coming to Disney Junior next year. That's cool. Wonder what that's going to be like. This is the first I'm hearing of it. Of course, I don't have cable, so I'd have to wait for it to go to streaming, or probably Disney Plus at some point for me to see it. Work on his utility belt here. And pouches. Did the Cyborg Spidey first appear in comics or TV? Comics. In Spider-Man, the adjectiveless comic series Spider-Man, issue 21 back in 1992, I believe it was. I remember buying that comic right off the stands back in the day. So I believe that's where it first appeared, because there was no Spider-Man cartoon or TV show that was new or airing at that time. So the 90s Spider-Man cartoon was on the way, I think maybe 3, 4, 5 years later, late 90s, mid to late 90s. Am I excited to finally get to see New Mutants on Disney Plus on September 4th? That's when the New Mutants movie is coming out? I did not know. That's awesome. Yes, I am excited for it. It means I will have to get a Disney Plus account. Currently don't have Disney Plus. Had it, watched The Mandalorian, and then when I realized there wasn't as much content that I needed to see, I paused my Disney Plus membership for the time being, waiting for more content that interested me to kick in. So I will probably in September reinstate my Disney Plus account so I can at the very least watch that movie and enjoy Disney Plus for at least 1 month until the next TV show or series or movie that I need to see comes out. WandaVision or What If or what's that one? Falcon and the Winter Soldier, things like that. There's just so many streaming services nowadays. I just reinstated my Netflix account this week so I could watch the Riff Tracks live riffing of Stranger Things season 1. Because when we got Disney Plus, we paused Netflix because there's no sense in us paying for like 5 streaming services at the same time. So we try to keep it down just to 2, maybe 3 at the most. So I just got my Netflix back just this week, which is kind of nice because it's like, oh my gosh, there's so many shows on here that I can now watch. Like they have a new Unsolved Mysteries. I grew up on the original Unsolved Mysteries that ran on NBC back in the late 80s through the 90s. And so that's kind of weird, kind of cool. That show is back, has the same music and everything. I wish they had the same host. I wish they had the host, Robert Stack, but he long passed away. But I always thought that was a interesting show, and hopefully these mysteries do get solved. That's what I liked about the classic show that ran on NBC, because they'd have these updates, because viewers would actually be able to solve these mysteries, which was incredible, to find these criminals or whatnot. So that was a cool aspect of the show, is that mysteries would get solved by people who were living next door to that person who was wanted for whatever reason. See, I want to make sure I get the shape of this leg bandage just right to convey the mass and volume, as well as the foreshortening of Spidey's thigh. Really, really pushing the boundaries of the foreshortening, pushing the perspective, I guess is actually the word I was looking for. The host used to scare you when you were a kid? Robert Stack scared you? That's fair. That's fair. I imagine he might scare me if I was a small child when that show came on. I was a teenager when it started. I was still in high school. Now what's interesting is they did like I think at least 2 Unsolved Mystery specials on NBC back in that time with 2 different hosts. And the very first one was hosted by Raymond Burr. He was TV's Perry Mason, the lawyer Perry Mason from like this old 1960s show. I never really watched Perry Mason. I wasn't really into that as a kid. So he hosted the first one. I think, was it Carl Malden hosted the second one, like these specials, and then the show went to series. And then that's when they got Robert Stack to be the host. And he was the original Elliot Ness of the TV show The Untouchables, which I thought was pretty interesting, pretty cool. And of course, Robert Stack was in the movie Airplane, that 1970s, was it 1970s, late 1970s spoof movie, comedy movie. More stitches coming in. Almost forget that I need to draw stitches on here. I can see why Erik Larsen only had Spider-Man in this look for one issue, because it is so time consuming. It would have probably made it very difficult to meet deadlines if you had to draw this outfit every time for every issue. I know I would have changed him out of this look after one issue. But I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. I hope you're having a good time here during San Diego Comic-Con weekend. I'll have 2 more live streams tomorrow on Saturday, in the morning and in the afternoon, same time as today's and yesterday's live streams. You can always see my Comic-Con art live stream schedule on toddnauck.com if you forget. And if you're subscribed to my channel, then hopefully you set your notifications to alert you for when I schedule a live stream, so that you know to come and join me. Join the fun. And some more guidelines for some more stitches. Okay, I already did that part there. Maybe down here on the leg. Hi, Daw88. Thank you. I haven't checked my email yet, but I will double check for your congrats on winning the Cindy Moon Silk post-it. Yes, I will get back to you probably after this live stream. Thanks for letting me know that you got the email in. And tomorrow's post-it note illustration will be a giveaway, so make sure you tune in and join me tomorrow for your chance at possibly win it, like Daw88 here won today. So yeah, that will be the last giveaway for my San Diego Comic-Con Stay-at-Home Con Artist Alley art live streams. Make sure you tune in. Trying to figure out where my darker shadows are. A lot of people ask, how do you figure out where the dark shadows go in a character's costume? For me, it's knowing the muscle shapes, then knowing where the light is hitting, and then sculpting those shapes with black on the opposite side of wherever the light is hitting. It's kind of the Cliff Note version of how I work that. That's kind of the basics. That's kind of the general rule of thumb, I guess, is the way I should put that. My general rule of thumb. Things are subject to change. Not every situation is exactly the same, but that's kind of the basis I can start from, and then make decisions, artistic choices from there. So learn your anatomy, young artists. Study it, learn it. There's always something new to learn throughout the course of your art journey. So put the time into it, and you'll hopefully see things develop as you go. But it takes a lot of work, a lot of practice, a lot of study. To get it. And even once you get it, there's still more to learn and get. Or evolve and change and discover in new ways. Uh-oh. Tablet's about to run out of juice. Let me plug it in. Keep this live stream alive. Are we plugged in, machine? Plugged in. Okay, good. We're down to 10% battery. All right, so this Spidey's coming along. We'll be doing the colors here fairly soon. Just have to finish inking these legs, some details in the arm, finish off that web, then put the web pattern on his costume here. So yeah, there's still a bit of inking to go. I got some foreshortening here on this other leg. Throw some stitches across that knee right there, that front of that knee. That calf a little bit. And what we can see of the foot dropping down from there. Let's see, we got the bandages kind of flipping up here, the ends of the bandages. Folds of the bandage where it cinches at the knot and then flares out to its full width. Put some dark parts of his blue costume here in the chest, down through his torso. That's a lot of stitches. Yes, yes it is. It is a lot of stitches. But hopefully it'll look cool once I'm all done, you know? It'll look... Hopefully it'll all look really cool. And that's kind of the fun of it, you know, when you're working on a piece and just kind of the journey of getting it all kind of figured out, drawn up, done, and then you get to see the finished piece. And I hope that it turned out close to what you or here I am close, hoping it came out close to what I envisioned. But that's why I try to seek to have fun when I'm creating my art, because at the very least when I'm done it's like, well, at least I had fun doing it. And if I had fun with doing it, hopefully I don't like hate what I've done. So I've learned to try to have fun so I can say I had a good experience, or at the very least a learning experience, even if things didn't go the way I wanted it to. That's the attitude I try to have. Don't always do that perfectly, but it's what I try to do. Okay, and then I got the other arm over here. Finish out with the stripe that runs down the side. Put some stitches through there. Stitches through there. And let's see, so the stripe comes down to the glove. And that takes care of that. So almost done here, almost done with the inks. Almost done with the inks, if I may specify. Let's see, now let's see, I have to finish this web, then put his costume webs on his costume. Sounded a bit redundant, but you know what I mean. Have I ever gotten so mad that I threw a piece of artwork? Yes, it's not as cathartic as you would think, because if you try throwing a piece of paper, it just kind of flits to the ground. It's not as powerful as if you throw something heavy and it really like goes. It's less like, you know, I throw this piece of paper. There's no real catharsis there. So yeah, I'm not a big proponent on throwing my art anymore. It's like, that's, I get frustrated. I found new ways to deal with my frustration, more productive ways to deal with my frustration, because throwing the art just is not really that impactful for me anymore. I'm better off making the art into a paper airplane and then just giving a nice toss and letting it kind of just sail away from me. That's probably more satisfying than just trying to throw a piece of art. I have to remember to pick up that piece of paper when I'm done with this live stream. So let's get these spaghetti webs. Am I on screen? Where am I at? What's going on here with my... Okay, there we go. That'll work. I want to make sure I can see where I'm at in real time for me. Let's see, switch to the 0.1 micron here as the webs get further away, spiraling away from Spider-Man's body. Change the arc there a little bit. Do a little creative edit. Just design. The zigzag is a kind of an appealing movement. You'll see as I ink it here. Just going to keep inking towards the end of the web line. Going back the other way. Still in screen, still on. Yeah. Is that right? Yes. All right, almost have all these details done, gang. After I finish this web line, it's putting on the costume webs, which usually aren't that difficult for me because I've done them so many times over so many years of so many Spider-Man stories. I've gotten really quite used to them. It's actually kind of fun for me. It's like a puzzle. And actually, it's sometimes kind of a very zen sort of experience. Just going around and around and around. And as I've said in other live streams when I'm drawing Spidey, the web lines on his costume can help show the form and shape of his head and his muscles. So it's not just a grid on his body, but we have to consider how do the lines curve around his skull, his biceps, his shoulders, around his forearms, around his calves, around his midsection. These are the things that I have to think about every time. So this way Spidey doesn't look flat, but he has volume and dimension. I'm using the 0.1 micron to keep the lines crisp and thin so they don't compete with the other aspects of the illustration. Helps also create a sense of proper depth, if you will. So you run the center line down the middle, another line that runs down his abs, and then the one that creates the middle section, or the outside of the red portion. So after this, I'll be kicking into colors, gang. We're just going to keep this art party rolling, so feel free to stick with me if you can. If you can't, come back anytime and watch it on replay. If all goes well, every live stream stays on my channel for replay. You can always come back and watch then. Watch at your leisure. Add it to your queue. Okay, and then down this arm here, and over to the forearm, then his knuckles and fingers. Considering the angle of each knuckle, each part of the digit of his fingers. Ooh, I was almost out of screen there. Almost off camera. Glad I caught that before I got too far to those other fingers. Then around to the thumb. And now his boots, and then inks will be done, and we'll be moving on to Color Town. All right, one more boot. All right, so that is the current, that's the inks currently. I'll recap my microns while I give that just a moment to dry, and then we'll kick in some Copic color. Using my kneaded art gum eraser to get the initial pencil lines off of the drawing. This kind of helps keep the ink lines from fading. Any old brand, I don't even remember what brand kneaded art gum eraser I'm using here. Just search kneaded, like when you knead bread, K-N-E-A-D, kneaded art gum eraser. And I would imagine just about any brand, any popular brand, whatever shows up first on Amazon Prime or Google Shopping, will probably be one of the more well-known brands, I'd imagine. Then I'm going to take my plastic eraser here to get some of those more difficult lines, pencil lines that the kneaded art gum eraser wouldn't take off of the page. You can use this to lightly get those other lines wiped out. All right, so let's start dropping in the color. Let me pull up my reference again so I can make sure I color things the way they should be, or could be, or will be. So let's start with some tans here for the strap on his eyepiece. Some E3-4 and E3-1. Let's see, gonna have a lot of silver going on here. And his belt is yellow, but I might go a little more tan than yellow. There'll be some yellow aspects, but I want to go a little more of use the khaki color, the E814, just because I think it's a little more believable than bright yellow. So making a stylistic choice in this moment. Where's my E8? There we go, E81. A lighter shade of that khaki. I am going to put a little yellow in there just to stay true to the original design. Color design, I should say. It's a little Y21. I think kind of gives it a nice kind of golden look, but without going full on bright yellow. kind of walking that line between what was and what I'm choosing. We will make the belt buckle kind of gold so it looks a little more metallic. A little Y13 on there. We'll bring in some grays later on. Let's see. Let's take care of the bandages. The bandages. Some BG 000 initially here. We're just sculpting the shadows of the white. Some of this in the eyepiece here. Not too much. I'm going to make that the same color as his cyborg arm. Put some of that in the lens as well. Go ahead and drop a little cool gray 1. I like to put a little light gray over my light blue to create just that that correct shade, that desired shade of bluish gray to convey the shadow or shapes of my white costume portions. I'll bring in a little cool gray 3, just kind of darkens some sections up where there would be heavier shadow. Maybe go ahead and throw some of this cool gray into his eyepiece strap. All right, let's go ahead and do the metal arm. So we'll start with some neutral gray 4. Going to work dark to light all the way through. We're going to hit the heavier shadow parts first. Kick that over to a neutral gray 3. How's it going, everybody? Looking to see if there's any new questions. You're considering going to sleep, but you can't now. We're into the end game. We are into the end game. Thanks for sticking with me. Hope you're still able to get a good night's rest. Little neutral gray 1 now. Kind of skipped over 2 and going straight for the 1. There's some kind of trim to his some of the cyborg parts of his hands. So I want that to reflect a slightly different color. I'm doing all the grays first. I'm going to come in with some light blues like I like to do. In fact, let's do that right now. Let's go with some BG 000. Then I'm just going to color over all this gray. Give it a nice bluish gray kind of look. In fact, I want to pump up this to a B 00 for his arms because That's what it looks like they did back in the day. So the shoulder pad is a little bit different shade of color than the arms. The shoulder pad's a little darker of a color, so we'll have these are brighter blue in the arms here. Let's see, his web shooter cartridges are different, so leave that, and then the trim around his fingers and knuckles is different, so I won't use this blue there. To use some of these grays and blues in his eyepiece. Go back to that B000 for these parts. I want to really make add a little more dark color to the shoulder pads and web shooter cartridges so they stand out from the arm a little bit more. So really bring in a darker gray. So it really stands out. There's like a differentiation. And a little neutral too here, actually. Just to kind of get us all the way, almost all the way to the edge. Giving a little bit of the white as a highlight right there along the outermost edge. Let's see. Need a little BG1 right in here. Oh yeah, I need to add some gray to those to that eyepiece. A little neutral 3 and a little neutral 1 coming up. And the eyepiece is kind of reddish. So let's go ahead and do that. Like in the upper portion, we'll do some R27, leaving a little tiny highlight. And at the bottom, we'll use a bright shade of pink to really give it some roundedness and pop. Just like that. All right, now I think we're pretty much just to traditional Spider-Man colors. So we're going to crack into some reds and blues. Let's start with the reds first, some R56. Just kind of get us started with some of the darker portions. Maybe I'll come back and after I do all the reds, throw some of this darker red over the stitches to help them kind of stand out. Down here on the feet. So are we in the screen for that? All right, just a little bit of that and then move to the R27 where we're going to do a bulk of the red. We'll start at the top, work our way down. A little bit of places I need to erase some pencil lines. I find that if I color over pencil lines with the Copic marker ink traps the pencil line underneath. It's no longer erasable. If I go back and try to erase, it just will not, the pencil lines will not disappear. So make sure you erase as thoroughly as you can if you don't want pencil lines showing up underneath your colors. So I forgot I have his, chose to have his belt, his Spidey belt peeking down below his, oh no, actually Eric Larson did the same. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, forgot that I'm going to need to add some of the costume web lines to that little bit here momentarily. Second, I thought Eric Larson had forgotten or didn't consider that part of his belt, but of course he did. Good on you, Eric Larson. Okay, and now I'm going to power this to the R24 next. Appreciate y'all hanging out. Hopefully you're having a good time. I'll be live streaming tomorrow for San Diego Comic-Con weekend as well. So if you like what you see here, come and join me tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern for the morning live stream, or morning for me, I should say, being in California. And then again at the second broadcast is, our live stream is at 1 p.m. Pacific, which would be 4 p.m. Eastern. International, I'm so sorry. I think you're 7 hours. Well, Greenwich Mean Time is 7 hours from where I am. But yeah, hopefully you can Google what time that is. Or make it easy on yourself. Subscribe to my channel and then set your notifications to alert you. That would probably be ultimately the easiest way to get that information, or to not miss out on the live stream. To have YouTube alert you when I schedule a live stream or upload art videos. You have to tap that little bell icon though to set your notifications the way you want them or need them to be. Now I'm going to drop a little orange in here for the highlights, some YR16. I use these same colors for when I did my Spider-Man sketch card illustration on Wednesday night, the preview night of Comic-Con this week. "10 a.m. on Saturdays you sleep in?" Fair enough. If you're on the West Coast, yeah, it'd be 10 a.m. for you. If you're in a different part of the country, or maybe a different part of the world, that might make a difference. But yeah, if you're a West Coaster, then yeah, it's 10 a.m. live stream. But you know what? You can always come back and watch the replay. Always come back and watch the replay if you can't watch it live. All right, and then let's see, we have some blues now. We need to do the blues of his costume. So I'm going to start with some B B05 and work my way from dark to light. Who is this? You just tuned in. This is Spider-Man, Peter Parker, when he fought in the storyline Revenge of the Sinister Six from 1992, the Spider-Man series, written and drawn by Eric Larson. This is nicknamed Cyborg Spider-Man, though he's technically not a cyborg. He's just wearing armor, rapid healing armor. He no part of him is replaced with robotic parts, especially that arm. His real arm is underneath that armature, under that armor, I should even say, being healed rapidly by the science of the scientists that rescued Spider-Man after a severe thrashing by the new Sinister Six. The new Sinister Six is the same as the original Sinister Six, but there was no Craven, because at that time Craven was dead after Craven's last time. So Hobgoblin took his place. Hobgoblin filled the gap for Craven back at that time. All right, kick this over to some B04. Many of you might have seen this version of Spider-Man in the PS4 game. I think it is one of the available costumes in the PS4 Spider-Man game. Now for some B02 to finish it off. And I'll color his web line and throw in some gray shadows. Okay, that takes care of the blues. Then his web line, let's come in with some BG01. A little bit of a blue-green. Is that on screen there? Yeah. So we use a series of blue-greens and maybe some grays as well. Not a lot of gray. Definitely not the neutral gray of that cyborg arm. I'll use some cool grays instead. Okay. A little more blue to his lens. Punch up the lenses a little bit more. So yeah, now we're doing some shadows. Going to drop in some shadows. Cool grays come into town. Start with some cool gray 4 for the red area, so like underneath the chin, where there would be a nose. underneath his armor. Shoulder armor, shoulder pad thing. More grays through the midsection because it's kind of bending away from the light source, which I'm imagining is from above. Down here by the feet. Since that shin is overlapping his foot, it's really going to cast a shadow over it. The way that foot is bent. That leg is bent, I should say, and the foot falls backwards, or falls back behind him. And a little darker shadow to the bandages. And now a little cool gray 5 for the blue areas. Don't need a lot because we put a lot of black into the blue areas. So just a little gray coming from that black into the blue to convey a gradation. A little bit more here on the leg, bending down and back away from us. And with that lower leg. So essentially the parts that are furthest away from the light source, or being overlapped by something like here into his underarm, the arms overlapping there. I want to throw in some gray in his pouches and on his belt buckle. My Texas accent almost came out there. Almost said belt buckle. Originally, I'm from Texas, if y'all didn't know. I live in California, but I was born and raised in Texas, near Dallas. That's my home state. I'm going to throw some of this gray into the web line, so we'll come in with some cool gray 1. Just go over all this blue-green, a little bit of cool gray. On these bandages just a little more. All right, we're getting close to wrapping this one up. Just adding a few more details here and there as I desire, or would think would look cool. One thing I do need to do is finish his costume belt right down through here. There we go. Just a minor detail, but I know it would bug me if I left it undone. The little buttons on his pouches there. Yeah, I was going to add some darker reds for his stitches. Ooh, where did I put that marker? Not put the marker I used back where it belongs. Don't like that. All right, that R56 here. Just to kind of really highlight the stitches. And by highlight them, I don't mean like by highlight as in light source, but highlight as in give notice to. Draw attention to subtly. Now I want to do the same for the blue. So we'll go back to that. Actually, we'll use a B06, a much darker blue. Just kind of dab all of these stitches in the blue section. Okay, so almost done. Just a few more tricks I want to do. I want to give him some sort of background element. I want to do something similar I did for Magic yesterday, is put a circle behind him. So since I don't have a circle template or compass large enough, use a DVD. DVDs tend to be the right sized circles for a sketch cover background shape. I'm going to pencil it in first. Make sure I got it where I want it, the way where I like it to be. I think that will work. Yeah, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a black circle, just so that it's just simple black, white background, Spidey, the only thing in color in front of us. So I'm going to take my micron. I'm going to ink in this circle, but I'm not going to let the lines touch the line art of Spidey or his web lines. I'm going to create that halo, that white outline that goes all the way around him. So the black circle is recessed a little further behind him. Let's see. Put my Psych Season 1 DVD, one of my favorite shows. Haven't watched those DVDs in forever because I can watch it streaming now on Amazon Prime or on Peacock. But it's good to have the DVDs as a backup. I'm just using a black Copic marker here to fill in this black circle. But I only bring this black shape all the way next to the line art, not to the line art. So I'm creating this white halo around him. Gives that similar white outline effect that I do when I do my my post-it note sketches, like I did with Silk this morning, or Colossus yesterday. Both those videos are here on my channel. You can still watch them if you haven't seen them yet. And yeah, so I'm using the white of the board or of the sketch cover itself to make the halo, instead of having to come in with the white gel pen, which would have, in this sense, would have been too messy. This is actually it's a more efficient use of my materials. Still gets the job done, and then I don't lose all that line work I created when inking. Because if I took this black marker all the way to the line, it'd be almost imperceptible, the line weights I put in versus the black shape. It would all become one, and then to try to create a white outline from there would be I think it would be a mess. I think it would be much messier and more inconsistent, maybe. So it's easier just to fill in the black and leave a white outline around Spidey. And this helps me save ink of my gel pen for sure, and very nominally, it's very minuscule amount of savings, but not using quite as much black marker ink. So that means I don't have to, I mean, it's a little bit, I mean, it's just a little white highlight outline that goes all the way around Spidey. So it doesn't really make that big of a difference. It's not using that much ink, but over time, I'm thinking over time, over illustration after illustration, So I want to try to maintain, just like I mentioned with when I was drawing magic yesterday, I want to maintain a consistent halo width. You know, so it's not thin in some areas and thick in other areas. There might be some slight thin or thick, but it's not significant. Is there a benefit to using microns over Copic multiliners, or is it just a cost thing? I find them to both be the same. Similar type of ink, similar type of experience. I just use microns because I've used them for as long as I can remember, before I started using Copic markers, before I was even aware of Copic markers. So I do have Copic multiliners I use on certain occasions. I've got the disposable kind, I've got the refill kind. But you know, I guess it's just I buy the Pigma microns because that's what I know. That's what I use most of the time. But there's, other than that, I don't think there's any major difference in the line art results. I could probably do an illustration with micron pens, and I could do an illustration with Copic multiliner pens. You know, do 2 illustrations using those for the inking, and I don't think there's really any noticeable difference. They all are, I mean, you could go Faber-Castell or Pitt pens, and it's all still kind of the same effect, just different companies, different brands. So yeah, I'm just used to Pigma microns. It's just what I've used to buy all the time and still buy today. But it's not like I'm brand loyal. It's just what I'm used to. I guess that might be a measure of brand loyalty, but I'm not opposed to using other brands, is the thing. All right, so gives a little something that back there behind behind Spidey. Now I want to do one more little effect here. I'm going to use the white gel pens. Going to use my, pardon me, words, Jelly Roll white gel pen for a nice thin line. Gonna put some details here through the banded metal here, kind of creating this, putting this little white highlight that kind of runs through there, through the gray and through the black shadow portions. It's a very subtle detail. I don't use the Uniball Signo gel pen in this sense because the nib is a bit bigger and thusly creates a thicker line. I don't want that thick of a line. So this is when the Jelly Roll gel pen really is my preferred tool to achieve what I want as an effect. So that's why I like to have both. Where the Uniball Signo, I think, works best when I need to do most any white detailing, but if I need a little more precision, if I need a little more accuracy, a little thinner, and if I need a thinner line, then the Jelly Roll is going to meet that need in a better way, I think. Not to say I couldn't do this with the Uniball Signo. I just, my personal preference, especially if I've got the Jelly Roll handy. Let's rock the Jelly Roll. It's just going to make my life a little bit easier with this illustration. A little bit of this through the fingers there. Just a little highlight. Little reflecting light there through the banded metal on the fingers. I want to add a little bit of a darker gray through the lens here to create a bit of a more distinct reflected horizon, if you will, just like that. So like the white part is the sky, the gray and the blue is like the earth around him. And now I can bring in the Uniball Signo because I need a thicker line, thicker nib, and I can drop in a little highlight there into his lens, and creates a little bit, just a teeny tiny little bit of eye candy. Just a little smidge, if you will. Go through here and just do a little, just doing a little adjustments here on the line work. Now that all those pencil lines are gone, just kind of beefing some things up, smoothing some things out. When I say beefing things up, I mean making certain lines thicker, beefing up the line, making it thicker. This piece is almost done, gang. This was fun to do. It's fun. I'm pretty sure this is the first time I've ever drawn Cyborg Spider-Man. If I have drawn him once before, unfortunately, I don't remember. I've drawn a lot of stuff over the course of my life so far, and career. I can put my autograph on here. And today's date, which is the 24th. July 2020. And there is Spider-Man. Let me pull the camera back just a smidge. You can see Spidey in its entirety. Dang, there we go. Oh my gosh, that was a lot of fun. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for all the great comments. Sorry. Let me try to take that line again. So sorry I couldn't respond to everyone's. I got so focused on the art. So much detail in this one. Holy moly. So much detail to put into this piece. It took up a lot more of my brain power than I expected. So thanks for all the questions. So sorry I couldn't address them all. Actually, I couldn't address many of them this go around. But I will be back tomorrow for tomorrow's live stream at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Central. And tomorrow afternoon's live stream, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Central. Central, what am I talking about? Eastern. Sorry, let's take that again. Take two. 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Those are my two live streams. Double check my schedule at toddnauck.com. The link is in the video description below. That I actually know I typed in the correct times for the schedule there. So I do apologize for all my wibbly wobbly information. But yeah, thanks so much for hanging out. I had a great time. I hope you had a good time too. Please feel free to like this video. Thanks for all the comments here in the live stream. If you're watching this on replay, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. And feel free to share my videos. Feel free to share my videos with any other Spider-Man fans out there, especially anyone who loved Spider-Man in the 1990s. Maybe they'll get a kick out of seeing this come together. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit that bell, and set your notifications to alert you to when I'm scheduled another live stream or uploaded a new art video. Hope you all have a great San Diego Comic-Con Friday. Thanks for hanging out with me here at my online artist alley as we enjoy San Diego Comic-Con at home. And, uh-oh, something just fell. Right when I'm closing the show. Come on, people. Come on, people. Who am I even talking to? I'm the only person here. Gang, thanks so much. I gotta sign off, but so good to hang with you. I'm Todd Nauck. Keep on drawing. Keep having fun, everybody. Take care.